and we are unequivocally supportive of spending time with children. I think that's really the thing. What would you say?
No, you hit it right on the head, Jake. Is that we were very clear in our guiding principles of starting this, if you will, is that we didn't want to take. This wasn't meant to be a political movement. We didn't want to take a political side. We didn't want to be an advice column, as I referenced earlier. But if we were going to stand for one thing, it was intentional fatherhood. It was engaged fatherhood. It was that when you were going to be present, you had to be more than present. Sitting next to your child on the couch while they look at the iPad and you look at your phone didn't count as active fatherhood. Active fatherhood was really the thing that we were proponents of, and making sure that we tried to define in our own lives what that looked like. And interestingly enough, the more we tried to define in our own lives what that would look like for our own stories, we got really introspective. We started to sort of study our own style. You mentioned, what's your parenting philosophy? We started to sort of study our own style and identify when we were or weren't sort of following what we thought made for a good dad, or at least in our own definition for ourselves, what we wanted. And some of it is sort of take a step back and go, what is it at the end of this journey? And it goes fast. And I know everybody tells us that, right? Oh, it's gone in a flash, and it is. When all the dust settles, what do you want to have done with your time? What do you want to be able to step back and say, I never missed a game. I read him a book every night. I said I love you every day. What were the things that you wanted to define your fatherhood? And when your kid looks back and says, what was your dad like? If I were to ask your kid, what was your dad like? And he had to sort of tell me, what do you want he or she to say? And so as we start to sort of turn inward and inspect our own ideas about what we wanted our legacy to be, I guess you could say, we go, we got a lot of work to do. It's all stuff that's joyful and enjoyable, but then you start to check yourself as soon as you pull up that phone and you go,
what message am I
I'm only
sending?
with my kid for like 2 hours before he's got to go to bed. Like, surely there's something else I can do.
Yeah.
And it's better for me, and it's better for him.
And this, if your ears are burning and you're listening to this, like mine are a little bit, especially that part about the phone and the 2 hours before bed, because mine isn't 2 hours, it's more like 45 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like checking emails or whatever. It's like, really? Don't be so hard on yourself, because we're all walking the journey together. And I think the important thing is that Reno Dads isn't trying to define dadhood for other people. There might be people out there who are like, you know what, I want my kid to look back on and say that, that I did consistently was provide.
Yep.
And that's fine. Like, provision and attention don't necessarily cooperate in life. So, but what we want is to be intentional. That's my favorite word in counseling anyway, is intentionality. Know why you do what you do, because then at least you have control over what you're choosing to do.
Absolutely. And Dave's written some great articles on the Reno Dads blog right now too, about that intentional parenthood and how to sort of set your own plan. And, it doesn't have to be as detailed as like actually writing it all down and putting deadlines on it and that sort of thing. It's really just, I think, keeping it top level consciousness about your own experience. And again, and maybe it's, some of it might be guilt that's prodding me along a little bit to say, boy, I would just feel terrible knowing that I don't have another run at this. I don't have another chance at this. And if I wasted that opportunity, I sure would regret it.
There's a guy who looks a lot like me and sounds very much like I sound, who has written some articles about the function of emotions, and guilt being one of those. That's an appropriate response to a guilt nudge. Is guilt says, go make right the thing that of which you're ashamed, or the sadness you cause another person. And what you're doing is you're basically getting out in front of it, right? You're saying, if this thing goes differently and then I end up being regretful, how do I prevent that from happening now? Right? So that's a very appropriate use. I don't want anybody to hear this and be like, oh, Mike's acting out of guilt, he must feel bad about something he hasn't done. It's like, no, that's actually a really responsible, insightful response to that nudge, which is find out what's important to you and make sure you do those things. And be as consistent as possible. That's really challenging. We have an event coming up that you introduced me to last year that I'd never done before. and it was disorienting and unusual for the first time.
I think I know what event you're talking
I'm looking.
about.
Yeah, it could be many things, but none that occurred about a year ago this time. So we're doing that again. We want to round some people up. This is a good opportunity now on this podcast to recruit some folks who may be listening, but also to invite people in other locales to sniff out their thing. Talk about St. Baldricks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were introduced to St. Baldricks, I think it was maybe 2 years ago. I've done it twice now, and this will be the third year here in 2020. But really the idea is to raise money for children's cancer research. Children deal with cancer in a different way, and what I mean by that is you can't give a child the cocktail of treatment that you would give an adult. Their bodies just simply aren't strong enough. They're simply not developed enough to handle that, and the research done to date just hasn't been nearly as deep as that to cure cancer in adults. And obviously both are worthy causes, but this specifically helps raise money for that research. And they've already seen in some types of cancer, I want to say it's something like a 90+% rate of survival. I mean, amazing results already. And so I definitely believe in that. I have connected with a few local dads who have not only been through that journey with their kids, experiencing cancer, but losing their children to that. And again, none of us are immune. My kids aren't immune. I'm not personally immune to any of this. And so if essentially the long story short is the event culminates in a night in which we shave our heads in a sign of solidarity to children that are dealing with cancer. And obviously they lose their hair typically through chemotherapy. And so this is a sign of solidarity. And if that's all I've got to sacrifice to convince some people to shell out $20 or $40 or whatever they can donate toward that cause, then I'm glad to do my part. And hopefully one day, if I ever do have to deal with that, God forbid, then maybe the research is more advanced at that point, and we've all got a better chance of seeing that child survive.
Making Earth better, man. I'm looking forward to doing it for the second time. Last year, Elijah was 3.5. He's my oldest. And he attended, and when it happened, my hair came off. I got off the stage. He had his hands on his hips in a very defiant posture, and he pointed his finger at me with a furrowed eyebrow and said, "Daddy, no, I like your hair better on."
Put it back on?
Put it back on. And I said, no, it's going to be a few weeks. And boy, was that a cold walk back to the car in March.
It is really cold,
yeah,
isn't it?
You don't realize how much insulation your hair provides.
I'm cold for about a month afterwards, but my hair grows back very slowly also.
But it was a great experience. So we invite everybody to check that out too, and there will be more social media posts inviting you to join us in the cause. Yeah. Please donate. We want your money. I mean, that's all it's about, raising money. So we're not.
We don't even want it. We want it for the kids. We don't touch it. We don't take a percentage of it.
No, we don't.
It all goes straight to them. Yeah, and my son was actually pretty moved this last time through too. He wants to shave his head this year.
Is he really?
Yeah, and it's funny. It's interesting. He said, "What if kids make fun of me for having my head shaved?" I was like, "Well, let's explore that, bud.
Yep.
What will you say?" And he said, "Well, I'm shaving it because I want to help kids that have cancer to not have cancer anymore." I was like, "There you go, bud."
Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard to make funny at that point.
Yeah, anybody knocks you down for that, then forget them.
God be with them when they face them. Face the wrath.
So the kids get it and they feel it too. And there's men, women, and children that participate. That boy, and some of the women that have really long hair, what a sacrifice, because that's going to take such a long time to grow back to what they were used to having. Mine's not that thick anymore, and it stays pretty short for the most part. So I feel like it's not much of a sacrifice on my end. But again, anything that we can do, even if it's it's meant to just sort of be lighthearted, in a way to bring attention, and really need is money at the end of the day to help finance this. It's really underfinanced nationally. Then let's do it.
it's getting up to dinner time here in our neck of the woods. So it's a little shorter podcast than usual, but I want to wrap up and respect everybody's time.
Well, we want to check it too, right? We don't want to sacrifice being good dads.
Yeah, by
talk about being good dads.
Yeah, right. By being late to being home on a Friday night.
Practice what we preach here.
Yeah. So leave us with a little bit of a walk off here. Certainly talk about how they can get in touch with Reno Dads and reach out, support, give insights or suggestions, or volunteer if somebody has a really moving story or something, some compelling topic they want to share.
Yep.
How do they do that? And then give us a takeaway that you wish that if you could wave the magic wand over all our heads, what do you want us to know?
Oh boy. Well, the first part of your question is pretty straightforward and easy for me. You can reach us, as you alluded to, in social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Probably the most active space is Facebook for us, or go to renodads.com for the website. You can reach out to us with renodads@gmail.com, or we have a contact form on the website. You can connect with us directly on social through direct message as well. So any of those means are fine. If you have an idea for content you'd like for our writers to address, if you have an idea for an event, if you have something you want to vent about that you think might inspire something that we take action on, let us know. If there's an event in our community that serves families or that would benefit families or dads or men, then please let us know. We'll help spread the word on that too. So that's, again, you don't have to become a contributor, a writer, somebody that is expected to write an article if you don't feel like writing is your strength. I would love to even just talk to you if you have a compelling story, or you know somebody that has a compelling story about fatherhood or something interesting or different or unique. I would just like Reno Dads to be a representation of, again, the voice of fathers in this community. Now, in terms of an insight, I don't know, maybe you've got me stymied on that one because just still I'm in the same journey as you are right now. I'm not any more advanced than you are. I don't think in terms of what I would have everybody know, other than probably just that we're all on the same journey.
Yeah,
and so that's really what it comes down to is
it's okay not to know.
Don't come to Reno Dads because you feel lost. Come to Reno Dads because you're on the same path that we are. You're a dad, or you're a father, or a parent. Dad and father, same thing. But that you're a parent experiencing this same thing, and confirm for yourself that the things you're feeling are normal, the things you want to talk about are normal, the pride you feel in your child is normal, the fear that you feel about this whole journey is normal, and share what that's like for other people, because heck, they might be looking to you to confirm that their journey's normal as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for your time. Thanks for swinging by.
My pleasure.
You're on the opposite end of town, and you came over here to do this, and now you get to drive south.
My pleasure.
On behalf of Reno Dads, thank you, Mike McDowell.
Yes, that's the remix.
Thank you to Mike McDowell for dropping by. And again, on behalf of the entire Zephyr Wellness family, the Noggin Notes team, and myself, we wish you all great mental wellness. See you later.